And welcome back, adventurers, to another episode of Let's Play ChäoS. In the last episode, Takumi was incredibly skeptical of Senna's explanation of the process, which he referred to as visual rebuilding, and even more skeptical of the fact that there is actually an official patent for this new VR technology. So back at his home base, Takumi tried to use Grimm as a means of debunking Senna's story, but much to his shock and horror, Grimm, rather than debunking Senna's assertions, actually proved them by producing a copy of said patent itself, obtained by none other than the researchers over at America's Mitochondria University. I think I have a sneaking suspicion as to who the leading researchers on that patent were, and neither of them are Kurisu Makase, but I'll just leave it at that. Also interesting is the fact that an executive order was given from the United States executive branch deliberately ordering any organizations not to clandestinely develop/work on visual rebuilding technology, signed by executive order by none other than Bill Clinton. Now in Steins Gate and Steins Gate Zero, they at least had the kind of temperament to actually alter the last names of certain people, certain individuals, giving them slightly comically sounding names while still being fairly recognizable. But for some reason, when it came to Bill Clinton, Nitro Plus just threw up their hands and said, the hell with it, we'll just go with his real name, which is amusing to an extent, but I digress. I'm rambling on here. But in any event, the possibility remains that somebody out there could very well use visual rebuilding technology to not only manipulate what people can see, but also how they interact with the real world as well, controlling their thoughts and free will. And come to think of it, there is one such organization that we've heard about. One such organization that comes to mind, but once again I'm getting sidetracked by the fact that Yua Kusunoki is typing rapidly on her computer at home. Yua Kusunoki's slim, lithe fingers moved as though dancing. Yeah, she is definitely a touch typer, something that I sadly will never be. I'll only use my index fingers for typing. I did try ergonomic touch typing once upon a time. It didn't work. Did not work. Her gaze was constantly fixed on the monitor. She touch typed calmly, making few typos. Well, at least she has the ability to correct her own grammar. She was writing an email, apparently reporting back to someone because she was investigating the new gen incidents, especially the third incident linking to Takumi Nishijo. But that begs the question, who exactly is Yua collaborating with? In addition, it was a rather long one. Yua had already spent close to 30 minutes thinking of her message and polishing it as she went on writing. Her fingers stopped moving without warning. She let out a small sigh of distress and abruptly held down the backspace key. The cursor blinking on the monitor scrolled along as it sped its way towards the left side of the screen. The long composition she had been writing up until now had vanished in the blink of an eye, together with the cursor's movement. Yeah, I've had that problem as well, trying to come up with things to write, rewriting it multiple times, and then just getting rid of it altogether. I know how that feels. When all of the text had at last been erased, Yura picked up the stuffed Gero Froggy set on her bed and hugged it to her chest. This has become a habit of hers as of late. If she wasn't embracing something like this, she would grow unbearably anxious. So it seems like Takumi isn't the only one who has anxiety issues. Burying her chin in the stuffed animal, Yua simultaneously sighed again and gave a little shake of her head.
私に勇気をください。
Courage for what? Yua's expression was strained as she murmured quietly to no one in particular. With the stuffed animal resting atop her knees, she returned her hands to the keyboard. One after the other, or one after another, the monitor displayed the characters she typed with graceful gestures. When she had written that far, Yua's hands paused. It was exceedingly short and simple compared to the text she had previously erased. And something tells me that what it is she's actually written on there is obviously not going to bode well. After some hesitation, Yua went ahead and clicked the send icon. So we're not even going to see what the message actually even says.
送っちゃった。
Too little too late. A little bit of a reflex of habit there. The mail finished sending without giving her a chance to stop it. Yua embraced the Gero Froggy on her knees again, harder. From then on, she continued staring at her monitor for over an hour. Wonder if she will actually get a reply. Though she hadn't expected much of an answer from the recipient, there was absolutely no indication that one was coming. And we're back at our cafe, the usual room 37. As I sank my hips into its reclining chair, I chewed on my nails to distract myself from my irritation, as Takumi probably is taking on the role of Lizalette on his backup account. There was a reason I had come to our cafe yesterday and today in succession. The night of the day before yesterday, after I found out from Grimm's investigation that Senna had been telling the truth, I got an email from Yua. So she was writing to Takumi instead of whoever it is she's supposedly working for/with. So even despite her accusations, she still actually cares for Takumi's well-being. Plus, she was presumptuous enough to mention that she wanted to talk with me one more time. Alas, it's been quite a while since Yura and Takumi last spoke, and also, given the way that things ended, Takumi is clearly going to be on edge even thinking about Yua at this point. Don't fuck around with me, I'd like to say to her, and she would actually probably accept that sentence. What's with... Sorry, let me read that again. What was with saying I would want to talk to you after deceiving me? There's nothing you could possibly have to tell me. Anyway, she must have come up with a new plan to entrap me or something. I'm not going to play along with her. Yes, I wasn't used to conversing with girls. As a result, I've been totally taken in when Yua made a play for me. Seeing me like that, she'd been secretly mocking me. And then there were her incomprehensible delusions. I've plenty of delusions myself, but mine don't cause any inconvenience to other people. They would if they actually knew about them. But she regurgitated her theories at me in a way that almost made it seem like I was the new gen criminal. That's because sadly a lot of the evidence up until the third case, concerning the third case, seemed to point in that direction. However, with the latest, the fourth incident, things have changed. But as far as Takumi is concerned, I'd never forgive her. And so I ignored her email, but one thing still concerned me. In the email, you had written that she was going to my base. Indeed, she did know my address. Though given that fact, there were plenty of times in which she could have actually visited beforehand. Which is why I'd taken refuge in that cafe, even though today wasn't a school-going day for me. If possible, I would have liked to bring my D sword for good luck, but unlike Senna, I didn't have the guts to walk around the shopping district carrying it with me. Good plan. All that aside, it was pretty tiring to spend almost half the day at a net cafe. The reclining seat was comfortable, and the store interior even came equipped with showers, but I certainly couldn't make myself feel at home as in my base, even though you spend even more time on the internet as you do here. Besides, the biggest problem was Seratan's absence. There's that codependency again. Spending these past 2 days shut up in that cafe had really made me see just how vital Seratan's existence was to me. I wanted to return to my base fast, but I decided to go home late at night, after one day changed to the next. Of course, if somebody were to pick up on this routine, you would definitely be out of luck on that one. By that time the last train would have run, and I didn't think even Yua would be lying wait for me. Well, unless she has incredible persistence, and I believe she does, you might be right. I had another 4 hours to kill before midnight. It would go by quickly if I played Ensu, but also one thing I'd like to mention here that people probably noticed is the fact that in the episode where Yua was explaining visual rebuilding, I didn't go back and look through the other avenues of Takumi's emotional state because we did not get a delusion. Um, so there was no point in going back and doing that. Just clarifying here and now while I still have the chance. I shifted my gaze to the PC monitor. My secondary character, Lizalette, was standing there with nothing to do.
お前の見ている景色は本物か
I seem to remember the Future Gadget Laboratory attempting a very similar experiment with some kind of Alpaca Man character. But I digress. I recalled Senna's words. Over half of what she had said was a fact, as proven by Grimm and Shiho. Except we hadn't been able to find a source for the part about controlling people's free will and physical movements. Maybe that aspect of it was purely in Senna's head. I don't know. If you can control the electrical impulses in people's brains, you can definitely manipulate those electrical impulses to control motor functions. Because mixing in the truth with a tiny bit of a lie was a particularly skillful and effective method by which to threaten someone. Well, if she wanted to threaten you, she would have put a D sword against your throat there, Takumi. Though I understood that with my reason, the unexplainable phenomena that had occurred to me over these past few weeks kept flittering across my brain, and they remained terrifying no matter what I did. And come to think of it, of course, should go without saying that the new gen phenomena itself is also a fairly unexplained one at this point. We don't know the motives, we don't know who's behind it, but, well, as of right now, it's very tenuous whether or not visual rebuilding is the method behind the new gen crimes, but it is a distinct possibility. Although, again, as I just said, we still have no proof as of whether or not that is the case. I absent-mindedly contemplated Lizalette inside the screen. Come to think of it, you did the same thing with Nightheart a while back as well.
リーゼロって、お前の見ている景色は本物か。
I muttered in a soft voice so as to keep anyone nearby from hearing me. I pondered something similar before. The world that I was currently looking at, Lizelet's world, Balazad, may have been the real thing to Lizelet, but to me it was artificial. This suggested that the world I'm in, which the person behind me gazed at, was also something artificial. However, in the same way that Lizelets couldn't recognize me, a higher order being, I too failed to recognize the higher order being who was the person behind me. I wondered if Lizelet was thinking the same kind of thing as me. At least without my intervention, she wouldn't be able to even move under her own power. Then, what about me? Would I even be able to rise from this reclining seat if the person behind me chose not to intervene? An informed question, but difficult to answer. I tried standing up. I met with immediate success. This time I tried sitting down. No problem. The sequence of movements, were they the product of my own will? I actually would say so, but and again, or were they the result of the interference of the person behind me? I had no way to determine which was which, and we just heard a sound. The door that set this private room apart was opening. I heard it at my back. I simultaneously sensed someone enter. I think we probably stayed here for far too long. Probably should have adjusted our movements because if that is who I think it is, which is probably you, she not only does she know where Takami's base is, she also knows that Takami frequents room 37, which probably was a mistake to come here after all. Startled, I turned. Yua Kusunoki. Yeah, you definitely chose a very poor hiding spot. You probably should have hid at McDee's or somewhere else in Shibuya, because going between here and your base and hoping that Yua wouldn't find you was definitely a very poor decision on your part. I was about to cry out in dread, but Yua's hand sealed my mouth, and there is that bizarre glazed look in her eyes again. That hand of hers was feverishly hot, and my nose picked up on the scent of her sweat.
黙って。声は出さないで。出さないって約束して。約束してくれるよね。しないなんて言わないよね。約束して。するでしょ。するの。お願い。
Yeah, there is definitely something unnatural about Yua Kusunoki here, to be sure. A small private room. Yua had blocked off my escape route. Well, in this dire situation, it's no wonder that Takami's pulse is racing maniacally. But that is going to be it for this episode of Let's Play ChäoS Adventures, and when we return, we shall see just how exactly Takami is going to get out of this predicament, although I doubt that Yua would very much let him do so. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.